this dialogue today, guys. So the need for a sense of control. Now, I want you guys to, when you hear that, right, go ahead and type in your chat, what does control mean to you? When you hear that, what does control mean to you? Type it in the chat for me, wherever you guys are calling in from, wherever around the world. Type in the chat, what does control mean to you? It's very important because I like to take control of my life. I like to make sure that I am in position to do the things I need to do. Just like I showed you guys this shot with my buddy's Magic Mind, because I know that look, if I take control of my life, if I take care of me, if I make sure that I am taking the right supplements, right? If I'm taking the right things that will help my body to be in a better place, my mind to be more focused, then I can possibly be in a certain level of control in my life. So write down, what does control mean to you guys? You know what I mean? This is why it's so important for us. So for me, my family, how are we taking care of ourselves? How are we eating? What are some of the herbs? What are some of the supplements? You know, and this is why I urge you guys, I say, go to these guys, man. Go to www.magicmind.com and grab some of their magic shots, because these shots save lives, right? But write down what control means to you. What does control means to you, okay? Now, I said the topic today is a need for a sense of control. A need for a sense of control. Now, with my notes I got, right? Okay, beautiful, beautiful. This is what I'm talking about. This is, guys, I want you guys to participate with me, because this is how we grow, right? This is how you guys start typing in from all over, whether it be YouTube or whatever. You guys can go right ahead and you guys can tell me what control means to you. Now, it is not necessarily, it's not so much about how to control people as about their needs around control. See, the real secret is deep. This is really deep as we're talking about this, right? Is the need that people have, that sense of control. People need to have a sense of control. What does that mean to you? Having that sense of control. What does it mean to you, okay? What does it mean to have a sense of control? You know, is it persuasion? You know, is it dominance? What does it mean to you to have that sense of control? See, by managing how people feel about control, this is really key. By managing how you feel, right, about control, you can achieve the things that you actually seek to achieve, greater things that you can actually control. But by managing, you heard what I said, by managing how you feel about control, by managing how you feel about control. So if you ignore this need, you might easily fail, or let me not say fail, fall. If you ignore this need for control, you might fall into a power battle for control. You understand? You might fall into this power battle for control, right? And that conversation that you will battle back and forth with yourself about agenda and different things that you're trying to achieve. Now, I need you guys to follow me as we go down this lane today, right? Because we battle with things in our mind all the time. We battle with things in our mind all the time. So that need for self-control, that need for control that we have, right? If you don't, this is what I was just saying, if you don't manage how they feel, if you don't manage that feeling, you know, of what that is, then you start having that dialogue back and forth with that inner mind. You start having that dialogue back and forth in that inner mind. So control is a deep, deep need. You should write it down. Control is a deep, deep need. This is important for us, for where I'm going right now. Control is a deep, deep need, guys. Write it down. Control is a deep, deep need, okay? Perhaps the deepest need people have is for a sense of control. Probably one of the deepest needs people have is for a sense of control. When we feel out of control, we experience a powerful and uncomfortable tension. Have you ever feel that? When you feel out of control, you experience that powerful need, right? You experience it, oh my God, this uncomfortable tension between the need, right, for control and the evidence of inadequate control. Woo! I'm hoping somebody following me so far. See, when you feel out of control, that's that experience that happened. That powerful and uncomfortable tension between the need for control and that evidence of inadequate control. So now you're like, what's happening? What is happening to me? What's going on around me? This is why I said control is a deep, deep need. It is a deep, deep need. And you guys, I want you to follow along as we go down today, because this is very, very important as this dialogue that we're having, because we must understand some key things as we move forward in our life. You understand? See, so you should be noting that the need is for a sense of control. That need that you're having, it is for a sense of control, not just for control. Because I want to make sure people are getting that. Because some people will hear it and say, oh, well, everyone wants control. Everyone wants X, Y, Z. Everyone needs this. But I need you to understand, no, the need, when you start going through that issue of that uncomfortability between the need for control and the evidence of inadequate control, it's that you note that that need is for a sense of control, not just for control, okay? This need around, it gives you, how we feel about control is much deeper. Listen to this, how we feel about control is much deeper and has a wider scope than just seeking power and controlling or to control things or the things that control brings. If you're with me, go ahead and type 1 in the chat. If you're with me, go ahead and type 1 in the chat. I'll say that again. This need around how we feel about control. Guys, get comfortable. I want you guys, wherever you guys are in the YouTube land, wherever you guys are, I want you guys to get comfortable with utilizing your chat system, because I want to know that you guys are actually interacting and understanding what is happening here. So this need around how you feel about control is deeper, and it has a wider scope than just seeking power. Heard what I said? It's a wider scope than just seeking power and the control it brings. So it's not the control that, oh, I just want this power. No, it's the sense of control. That's what we're talking about here. See, one of the most disturbing thing about having terminal illness, right? As those who might be uncomfortably suffering with something, right? I want you to understand that, right? It will tell you that it's the feeling of powerlessness. I'm hoping somebody's following me. It's the feeling of powerlessness. See, a lot of times people say to me, well, this thing happened. This is going on with me. What happened here? I don't feel well. My mom is sick. My brother is sick. This individual isn't feeling too well. They were good a month ago, but they went and visited the doctor and they heard this news. And now that they heard this news, within 2 weeks or a week, everything starts spiraling out of control, downwards. And you heard what I said, when you're dealing with that sickness, it's that sense of powerlessness, because now you feel like there is no control. So when you feel like there is no control, then you allow, remember I said that conversation that happens in the mind, you allow that conversation to go in a way of that inadequate control, then losing your power of great self-esteem and self-confidence to be in that powerless position, why things start spiraling out of control. If you're with me, guys, type with me. If you're with me, type with me. If you're with me, type with me. I want to make sure you guys are following. If you're with me, type with me. This is extremely important for us to understand, right? And this is why the illness and those different things, it leads to further illness and it leads to death with a lot of people because of losing that sense of control. But a lot of the times we are caught in a position where we believe that we need control for power and not understanding control in the wider scope, which is that need for the sense of. Because when you operate in the need for the sense of, this is what happened, and you guys should write this down, because a lot of the times what happens when we get into a certain type of position, when you push anyone against the wall, when their back goes against the wall, we all go into what we call a fight or flight mode. Fight or flight mode. Because what happens when your back is against the wall? What happens when your back is against the wall? Now, here's the thing. I got another avenue when it comes down to say, well, your back is against the wall. Maybe, just maybe, some of us need more of our backs against the wall in order to maneuver. But that's a different teaching all by itself. See, maybe some of us need our backs against the wall more often so that we are forced to maneuver, but that's a different teaching. But I want you to understand this importance in where I'm going when we start talking about the need for control. The other needs that lead to a sense of control, other needs that lead to that sense of control, right? It's a sense of certainty. If I look at a pyramid that I create and I have to write down some things that will help in developing or actually identifying what are some of the needs of that sense of control, then one of the things that I will have up here, is me talking about that sense of certainty, right? That sense of certainty. You should write it down. That sense of certainty, that's important. That's very important, ladies and gentlemen. That sense of certainty is very important, that we should have completion of outstanding things. Completion of outstanding things, so we don't have to worry about them. That's what we're talking about. That sense of certainty, completion of outstanding things, so we do not have to worry about them. You want that certainty. That's important. Understanding of outstanding things, so we don't have to worry about them, right? Understanding of how things work. So we have the completion of the outstanding things, and now we have the understanding of how things work. The understanding of how things work. And then the next one would be being able to predict what will happen. Now that's a big one. So let's back up for a second. I said we need a sense of certainty, and then completion of understanding the things that we don't have to worry, so that we don't have to worry about them. And then I said understanding of how things work. So we don't have to worry about the things because of the completion, but then we have understanding of how things work. But then I said being able to predict what will happen. Now, some of you may jump into a zone and say, well, you can't predict the things that's going to happen. No one can predict that. See, I want you to understand, when we are talking about the sense of control in a broad scope, why that statement brings about the awareness of the sense of control, being able to predict what will happen. The concept of being able to predict what will happen will come from the actual work, that certainty that will be done with the completion of the work that you have put in place, and the understanding of what you actually did, so that they would be predictions of an outcome. Now, what the exact outcome will be would be left up to the things that you have put in place. But if you were questioning yourself, hearing that statement to say, well, you cannot predict, well, you actually can put an outline of what the prediction needs to be. Now, I need you to understand this, because this is very important, because a lot of times we hear these things and we say to ourselves, what are you talking about? Okay, what do you mean you can predict? Well, Think about all the commercials and think about all the stats and the different things that you participate in, you watch on television. These things are assessments, these things are studies, these things are predictions that these outcome is what we will expect based on these things that we will do. And we now know and understand that we, based on the things that we're doing, we have three possible outcomes that we expect. So when we talk about being able to predict what will happen, this is the wider scope when we start talking about having a sense of control. If you're with me, put 7 in the chat. If you're with me, put 7 in the chat. If you're with me, put 7 in the chat. I want to make sure you guys are following. If you're with me, put 7 in the chat. I don't want to lose you all. If I lost you, said, hey, you've lost me. If I've lost you, said, hey, you have lost me, Mr. Boston. I want to make sure that you guys are following, because a lot of times when we hear things, we are quick to react instead of being slow to listen and understand. Instead of being slow to listen and understand, because we have to interpret the things that we hear, things that we read, the things that we see, and understand it before we can react. But most of the time we go into reaction mode. We go into that reacting mode, right? So we got to be able to predict that the things that will happen, you know, that people, including ourselves, and things that are consistent. That's how that happens. It's because then people like ourselves and people around us operating in a certain space, being consistent, if there's a consistent pattern, if there's a consistent behavior. Ooh, I just said something. If there's a consistent pattern and if there's a consistent behavior, you can absolutely predict the outcome. I want you to think about it. So then you need to ask yourself, where am I right now in my life? Am I somewhere in my life that someone is responsible for and not me? Or am I somewhere in my life where I am the author of where I am? See, I was looking at a man of God teaching maybe a week ago, and it was something amazing. I saw him talked about saying how God operates when he brings blessings to us, right? When the blessings from the Lord has to come to us and he sends the blessing out, he is making sure that the blessing will get to you. And when you, as according to this man of God, what he was saying, right? If you are walking down to the right and the door that you needed to go to is on your left, but you decided to go right, when the Lord has his divine will in place, he will move that door and shift it to where you're going so that you don't go down your own path. So when this man of God was saying that, I smiled, because when I heard it, it made me realize that though the outcome of where you're headed is bigger than you, the prediction is going to be based on what you have been doing along the journey. I'm hoping somebody's following me. So you ask yourself again, where am I in my life? What have I been doing thus far that has gotten me to where I am? Where am I right now? And what have I been doing thus far to get me to where I am? See, this is extremely important because a lot of times we miss it. We miss it, ladies and gentlemen. We miss it because we get caught. We get caught in what we think it should be, because we get caught more into that I need control instead of the need for a sense of control. See, we talked about that control is that power. That sense of control is that wide range understanding these things that I'm going to give you. Now, Maslow, who studied psychology, which is the psychologist Abraham Maslow. If many of you, I always tell people it's good to really research and study and learn about the people who've done a lot of these studies, right? To know where they were and what exactly they did with the psyche and with the different studies to really break down these components as you yourselves learn and you study, right? And one of the things that he did in the when I said to you guys, if I put up a pyramid, one of the things he talked about, which was extremely important to me when I looked at it and I said, wow, this is really good when we start talking about a sense of control, right? So one of the things he talked about on the top of his pyramid, he said self-actualization. This is important, right? He said self-actualization. Now, if you're writing, you should be writing. If you're typing, you should be typing, right? Now, the reason he did this is because he was talking about the different need and how we can actually gain that sense of control and the things that will allow you to actually live in a space that will be so powerful for you, for everything around you, for the things that you would attract, for the things that you seek, for the outcomes that you're looking for. So one of the things that we need is one of the things he said, self-actualization. Self-actualization. Now, when you hear that word, self-actualization, what's really being said right here, what's really being said, ladies and gentlemen, is achieving individual potential. That's what that self-actualization means to me. Achieving individual potential. Now you're saying, well, hold on. Well, if you need a sense of control, in order to have a sense of control, right, you have to achieve that individual potential. Your self-esteem needs to be bolstered. But you have to self-actualize. You gotta bring yourself into this space. See, under the self-actualization, he got esteem. He placed esteem on his list. When I studied it, he put esteem. So I just said to you, where we were talking about self-actualization, now self-esteem. Esteem, he got self-esteem and esteem from others. See, I need you to understand. Self-esteem and esteem from others. Now, if you're missing this, is that a lot of times we operate like we can go through this world by ourselves. We operate like we can live in this world. I don't need anybody. I'm good all by myself. I got this. I can just do me. I don't need anyone. Ladies and gentlemen, you're wrong. That statement of itself needs to be canceled and should never even come up in your thoughts any longer. Because if you didn't need anyone, if you didn't want anyone, if no one else was supposed to be there or here, then you would have been the one only person on this planet. But lucky for us all, that when the Creator created all things, we were the last one to be created, given the dominionship over all that he created, and then still saw that we needed companionship. Now, whether you're a person who believes this or not, then just step outside, look at the trees, go to the zoo, look at the animals, look in the sky, look at the birds. You don't have to have a belief in scriptures to understand what I just said, because it's happening around you daily. So when he said esteem, self-esteem, and the esteem of others, your self-esteem, you have to be self-actualized. And then others, the esteem of others. Wow, she's amazing the way she carries herself. Wow, he's astute. I love the way he represents his family. Are you guys with me, ladies and gentlemen? Because see, we live not just for us, but we live so others can see the blessings and the outcome in our life through the source that gives it to us. I'm hoping I didn't lose somebody. I'm hoping I didn't lose somebody, because we're over here, we're talking about sense of control, but I need you to understand how that sense of control works. I need you to understand how that sense of control works. Are you guys following me? If you're following me, put some ones in the chat. If you're following me, put some ones in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're following me, put some ones in the chat. See, when you have the esteem, ladies and gentlemen, you have belonging. Somebody said, I belong to somebody. Somebody said, I belong to somebody. See, when you have the esteem, you have belonging. See, look, I don't even have to go through this whole teaching today. I can stay right where I'm at, and we can dialogue on this. Belonging. That is so powerful. What is Maslow talking about when he said belonging? Ladies and gentlemen, belonging, love. That's belonging. Affection. That's belonging. Being a part of something, being a part of groups. Belonging. Being a part of a family. Belonging. This is important when we're talking about a sense of control. He said, we need to have self-actualization. We need to self-actualize. Then you need to have esteem. Self-esteem and the esteem of others. And now you should have belonging. Do we walk by ourselves? Do we not yearn to belong? We all yearn to belong, ladies and gentlemen, because if you lack belonging, then you don't exist. So whether you belong to the light or you belong to the dark, you seek belonging. I'm hoping you guys are following me. So then why not be in a place where there's love? Why not be in a place where there's affection? Why not be in a place where you belong to a group that you can serve, so that the gift that is given to you would make room for all the things that will be coming in your life? So having a sense of control would be so actualized and realized that the power that you naturally should have will keep you standing tall instead of being in a powerless position. See, when the position of powerlessness comes, the mind opens up to entertain what it shouldn't entertain. And when the mind entertains what it shouldn't entertain, then you put the body at risk to be invaded by an outside source that can bring destruction in every aspect. I need you guys to follow me. So when you say, I'm not feeling well, you were exposed. I think I caught a cold. You were exposed. I caught that new sickness they got going around. You were exposed. Oh, my mind, I just don't know how to think. All these things that's coming at me and these people that I'm meeting, it's just like I just can't get a break. You were exposed. See, There was an opening for a belonging, but instead of you self-actualizing, instead of you having the esteem, the self-esteem, and the esteem of others, you opened up and didn't move. And when you open up and you didn't implant the download that is supposed to do what it is supposed to do to better you, then something else takes over. If you guys are with me, go ahead and put some sevens in the chat. Now, let me tell you why this is so important, because after belonging, there's safety. After belonging, there is safety. Now, you see that works? Self-actualized, esteem, belonging. Now there's safety. It's important. A sense of control. Now there's safety. What does it mean when you hear safety? Shelter. Talking about safety. Removal from danger. This is why I just said to you about being exposed. That's right, security. This is important. See, a lot of times we hear things and we believe things have one avenue to our life, not realizing that very thing is a wide scope that controls so much in our lives if we will only sit still enough to receive the download that we've been asking for. Listen carefully, I said that we have been asking for. So what do we do most of the time? We ask for things, we seek things, we say we want better. We profess that we need better, that we are going to do better. I need some kind of help. Why do I go through this? Why am I going through this? How are things still the same with me when I am helping and serving? I need some kind of help. But we're asking for this help. We're seeking for this help. And what's going on is that we don't sit still enough so that we can receive that which we seek. What we do instead is we keep asking, and then we go into complaining after we don't see a result because we kept moving after asking. So when we go into complaining, you now open yourself to be exposed. And that's when the virus comes in. That's when the virus of loneliness sneaks in. That's when the virus of mental health comes in. That's when the virus of annoyance creep up. The virus that has you worried and pacing back and forth and can't think clearly and don't trust. The virus of hate, the virus of gossip. All the different letters of the alphabet, the addictions, the different things that start attaching itself to you. Because why? You were asking, then you were running, and then you start complaining. So you didn't sit. So that's getting to that safety mode. That safety is shelter. Removing yourself from danger so that you can develop that sense of control. It's extremely important for you to understand. Then the last one is psychological. Psychological. How are we dealing with our psyche? Now, I told you guys, telling you guys about my shot, my Magic Mind shot. This is extremely important to me and my family, how we take care of our body, that it boosts energy, gives me that mental focus. It's so powerful. Psychological, health, food, sleep. Now let's look at that backwards for a second. We can't work 24 hours a day, every day, ladies and gentlemen. The body must rest. The mind operates optimal after it has received some rest. So it says health, food, and sleep. You got to sleep. But you don't oversleep. Now, some of you might be saying, okay, what do you mean I don't oversleep? You got to sleep, but you don't oversleep. And your body tells you when you're oversleeping because you'll feel sluggish and lazy and lethargic. So you want to get the rest so the brain would be optimal, but then you got to put in the food. Then you got to understand the health perspective of it. So it's a three-part step, having that sense of control that has to do with the sense of achievement or achievement, that has to do with your servitude and the outcome from your servitude to others, that has to do with your reflection and your image that you're projecting not only upon yourself, but upon others. Then you ask yourself, why aren't things going on for me? Why am I in such a situation? Do you know one of the most amazing things that I've learned over my years being on this amazing planet is that you can achieve in any condition, anywhere, if only you prepare mentally. You can achieve in any condition, anywhere, if only you prepare mentally. It's very important for you to understand that, so that you don't complain that your environment is bringing the destruction to you. Now, we understand removing yourself from environment, but I need you to understand, if you are unable to remove yourself from an environment at a certain time or for a particular time, then you sharpen up your mental, develop that sense of control, understand the wide scope of it, so that you can self-actualize and see what's happening around you and turn the environment that has been a negative thing against how you felt before into a conduit that will project you forward, that will allow you to serve in that place. If you guys are with me, go ahead and put some ones. If you guys are with me, go ahead and put some ones. This is very important for you to understand how important that is. So one of the things, not control, just the sense of control. So in fact, we don't actually need to be in control all the time. What we really seek is a sense of control. Hoping somebody got that. See, control is embedded in much of what we do. It's already embedded in much of what we do. This is important for you to understand. So now start looking around and watch what people do. A significant portion of our everyday activity, ladies and gentlemen, if you start looking around and watch what people do, that significant portion of our everyday activity is related to achieving our much needed sense of control. It's related. Guys, this is very important, because if we can understand these things, then we can be better at how we accomplish the things we seek. We can be better at how we deal with those that we come in contact with. We can be better because we can dictate or predict the outcome because of understanding that that sense of control is what we seek. Now write this down. Power and trust. This is important. Power and trust. The sense of control is closely related in opposite ways to power and trust. Closely related, but in opposite ways to power and trust. So you can get a sense of control by taking control and acting. So if you were concerned, and how am I doing this? Well, You got to act. You got to take control and act. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to be headstrong and forge forward, and that's what it is. Right? Which, ladies and gentlemen, when you take that control and you act, is effectively about power. That's what that is about. When you forge forward, it's about power. Okay? Want to make sure you understand. You can also get that sense of control by literally dealing with others, ceding it to others, right? Which requires trust. It requires trust, that sense of control. But how do you deal with others? How do you serve them? How do you find a way to help and serve them? And in doing such, you will get a reward from the people that you've been serving. And that reward doesn't have to be monetary. That reward will just be the trust that you've developed in between the relationship, that now they in turn will serve you. Come on, somebody. This is important for us to understand how we must move in life and what we deal with when we start dealing with that sense of control. Then you have control and you have risk. Control and risk. If we have control, then we risk less. You heard that? Control and risk. If we have control, then we risk less. Threats can be avoided and handled because we have control, so we risk less. So this has significant benefits, right? As it leads to a better chance of survival, meaning getting ahead, moving forward in life. Because now, with having that control, you risk less. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to understand it's so important. We trust more and we risk less when we have control. We trust more and we risk less when we have control. This is important for you to understand. In this way, powerful people will trust you. These powerful people, they will trust others more easily. Listen to this. When people have power, they trust others more easily. People say, well, I don't trust nobody. Well, vulnerable people, on the other hand, can do little about avoiding threats. So they depend on others to help them. So it's hard for you to even decide that you're going to just trust, because now you're so vulnerable, you're in this situation, you got to depend on others. So now trusting is so difficult for you, because why? You're in that vulnerable space because you don't have that sense of control. And the person who have success, you find that they trust easily because why? They understand the principles when it comes down to having that sense of control. I'm gonna run through these last few real quick for you guys. Pain and control. Pain and control. Pain and control. It's important. People who have a higher sense of control tend to feel pain less intensely. Now, I know when you hear this, you said, well, do you mean physical pain? Well, that happens as well too. But we're talking about the pain of life, the different things that will happen, the different things that comes along. People who have control, they tend to deal with that totally different. That pain doesn't affect them in the depth as how it may affect someone else. Because that is because a person who feels they're not in control also feels vulnerable to the attacks, and they start to imagine being hurt. I'm hoping you guys don't understand, because this is psychological pain that you create. You create your own psychological pain because of your imagination, because of your vulnerability. So you start imagining. So you start hurting yourself. Self-imposed pain. So you take your pain to another level. It's very important for you to understand. So when I say about the sense of control, it's deep to make sure we have that sense of control. It's deep. That pain and control is serious. So now when real pain really occurs in your life, It feels worse to you who've already been imagining and taking it out of control. Ladies and gentlemen, I fall short of it too. I've gone through this. I have my share of ups and downs, and it happens so often. We're human beings, but we're ever, always in a position to be able to adapt, change, input. We can't sit and wallow in it. We have to understand that because of time, it will pass. So we have to adjust and adapt, and we have to do the things that needs to be done so that we are not taking things out of context. Because when you let the mind roam, woo, when you let the mind roam, you can inflict some real pain on yourself. That's why we have to live for today and let tomorrow take care of itself. This is why my teaching last week was so powerful when we talked about the power of now. That was extremely important, because we can't let the mind run. Now, the last two I'm going to give you, it says harmony and control. Harmony and control. Harmony and control. Harmony and control. Right? I'm going to just stop at that one for us. Harmony and control. This is important for us to understand. A loss of the comfortable state of harmony, that state of harmony that we seek, has been defined as a shift towards either chaos or rigidity, being rigid, you understand? So when you become more rigid, we control, when you become rigid about things in your life and how you sharpen up, you tighten up, right? We control more. When we become chaotic, need I say, when we become chaotic, we control less. You become rigid, you tighten up, you sharpen up, you control more. You become chaotic, you control less. So harmony and integration can hence be understood as a balance of control. Harmony and integration can be understood as a balance of control. So you gotta integrate the things that needs to be integrated into your life. And you have to have peace and harmony in that space so that control would be so easy, because that sense of control has taken its position. So now you're not out of line with where you are. You're no longer allowing the pain and the loss of control to these things to affect you, because you understand the harmony, those harmonic patterns of how you should flow in life, and not allow it to bring destruction to your space, ladies and gentlemen. That's extremely important for us to understand. So you got to ask yourself, am I in a power struggle because I seek power? Or is my everyday moving around life already resides around power? So what I need to be concerned with is a sense of control. Because if every movement I make is already in a space of control, I need to understand a wider scale so that I can seek that sense of control, so that I can understand that I need to be in a place where I am always self-actualizing. Am I doing this? Where am I? Where am I in my life? Am I self-actualizing? Am I doing this right? What is my esteem? Am I doing this? What is my belonging? Who am I belonging to? What groups am I belonging to? Family, loved ones, who am I belonging to? Safety, what is the level of safety that I put in place for my life? Because once I put those things in place, because it comes with having a sense of control and understanding who you are. So then, when you have that, those things that you put in place would naturally be expected of anyone else, or you would only attract those that are in alignment with where you are. I'm hoping somebody's following me. when you're in a psychologically strong place, when you are in a level that your energy is floating at such power and your inner man is fired up and your physical man is strong and your mind connecting with your heart is moving in such a way, then you will only attract the things you are projecting. And those that come that are not what you're projecting, because you're so strong in your space, and if you're actually doing the things that you need to continue to do in self-actualizing, in making sure the esteem is there, in making sure that you do the things that you need to do, then guess what happens? You become like an armory. You develop a force field, ladies and gentlemen. And that force field covers you. So when you hear about, let me give it to you this way. When you hear these preachers or women and men of God speak about arrows coming at you, and when you're guarded right, let it return to the sender, then I need you to understand the importance of what that means. So then you understand what I just said to you. Are you guys with me? You'll understand what I just said to you, because it's all connected. So when you start failing in an area of your life, don't just say, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do," and but over here I'm okay, but I don't know what to do over there. Listen, if there's a problem to the left, rest assured a problem is coming to the right. If you don't fix what's going on to the left, if you don't gear up to take care of what's going on to the left, because if something gets contaminated by the tip, the contamination is going to run all the way through. If you guys are with me, go ahead and type 7 in the chat. If you guys are with me, go ahead and type 7 in the chat. I want to know if my peoples are out here. If you guys are with me, type 7 in the chat. You know, when the contamination hits one area, guess what? If left unattended, it will spread. So when you say, no, I'm good over here, the job is great, I got a great business, but I got problems over here to the left, you really believe that the problem to the left, if left untreated, if left untreated, would come over and contaminate the right? So when I say to you that it's all connected, that means you must stay whole all around. You must stay whole all around. So your sense of control doesn't stop at, I seek control for power. Your sense of control is broad, that says that I need to understand that this is not just about power. This sense of control is bigger than me. This sense of control, it's so deep, it's so powerful, because I need to have certainty when I move. I need to have completion of the things that I need to complete. I need to understand that my certainty and the things that I've completed is going to take me and others to another level. That's my prediction and my outcome, because I know if I do X, Y, Z, I have a prediction because I know the outcome. If I say 1 + 1 + 1, the prediction is 3. So when you start saying, but I can't predict, you're looking at it wrong. So you have to always be in a place, ladies and gentlemen, that you're understanding that what's going on to the far north of you that's affecting you, if left unattended, everything will be infected. So the message today is, stop being exposed. Stop being exposed. You can be in the territory, but you don't have to be exposed. You can be in the territory, but you can be guarded and protected. You can be in the vicinity, in the environment, but the information that is affecting the minds of those that's being torn down in that environment don't have to affect you. If you know how to use the environment to the benefit that will serve you and in turn serve others. I'm hoping somebody's with me. I'm hoping somebody's with me. Because there's a beautiful thing when it talks about understanding. It's a beautiful thing when that good book that I love so much talks about charity. It's a beautiful thing when that book talks about wisdom. See, sometimes if we just slow down just a little bit and take time with the seeking that we were doing, the knocking that we were doing, the asking that we were doing, if we could just slow up and sit still long enough, then we can get the answers so that our sense of control will be in our control. So now you got the download. And once you get the download, now you're self-actualized. Now you go out and you perform. So I hope somebody got this word today. I hope somebody understood this teaching today. I hope someone understood where we are, where we need to be, and where we're going. So wherever you are, if this summit today touched you in some shape or form, I need you to reach out to us and let us know, because it only allows me and my team to know how we should further research and the thanks that we should continue to give to all of you, but most importantly, the thanks that I give to the man upstairs, to the Creator, because I know that the information is downloaded through him opening up my mind to receive what I'm seeing. So that's why it says we operate by faith, not by sight. It's very important for you to understand this as you move along through the rest of your week. I love it when I have you guys tuning in from all over, taking the time out of your day to hear what we have to deliver on the Leadership Summit. And I can only share the appreciation, the gratitude. I'm so grateful for every one of you. Continue to reach out to us. Let us know your thoughts process, what you guys want to hear, what you guys would like us to teach on. Continue to reach out to us, reassure us on if the information has served you, something has served you. And if it hadn't served you, didn't serve you, please let us know that as well. Because we are so in a space of joy and gratitude to be able to show you guys what we continue to study and how it can affect all of our lives. I love you guys. You guys continue to be blessed, continue to have a perfect and a fantastic week. I know greatness is in alignment and in place for all of you. I already know that the things you seek is already done. You just need to walk into it. So it's already in front of you. So when we self-actualize and when we understand that we have the control and not lose it and open it so that we can get the wrong download, then the things that we seek, it's evident that we already have achieved it. So thank you guys. Y'all be blessed. Have an amazing, amazing, powerful, powerful week. And love you guys. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.